Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good tomorrow, whatever it is, wherever you are. Today's story is about what happened to the United States on September the 11th, 2001, and it was the worst attack in American history on American soil. 19 hijackers took control of 4 commercial airliners en route to California after takeoffs from Logan International Airport in Boston, Massachusetts, from Newark Liberty International Airport in Newark, New Jersey, and Washington Dulles International Airport in Loudoun and Fairfax counties in Virginia. Large planes with long flights were selected.
Over 3,000 people died in the Twin Towers in New York. It is a day like Pearl Harbor was attacked on December the 7th, 1941, when more than 2,400 Americans died in that attack. Then President Roosevelt, in a radio announcement to the world, said that that day was, quote, a date which will live in infamy. And as it is, was September 11, 2001. And I just watched an incredible tribute from President Trump in Pennsylvania where Flight 93 crashed. He told a story of someone finding a wedding ring a lady had given to her husband, who was a passenger on that flight, commemorating their anniversary from their wedding in 1969. The ring had the inscription, quote, all my love. Somehow, among all the debris scattered over dozens of acres, this ring, this love, somehow survived. So now let me get on with today's story. She said, I just loved airplanes, so I'd follow anywhere my dad would let me, said Heather Penny, speaker for the annual Nevada Women's Fund 2018 Women of Achievement Luncheon on May the 24th of this year. Penny began flight lessons with her father in high school. She said it felt like a belonging. It was freedom. It was exhilaration, said Penny, of the first time she gripped the throttle and looked out of the cockpit as a pilot. I had always wanted to be a fighter pilot, but this was before women could be fighter pilot. When I went to sign up, they said, girls can't be fighter pilots. But she earned her pilot's license in 1993. While working towards a Master of Arts degree at Purdue University, Penny considered becoming a teacher, but her plans changed when it was announced that Congress had just opened combat aviation to women. She helped to form and join the first collegiate team to race in the Air Race Classic, an annual transcontinental air race for female pilots. She then joined the Air National Guard and earned her wings, although she had also had to earn the trust of her colleagues in the all-male 121st Fighter Squadron. She said any fighter pilot has to go through a period of earning their respect. Every fighter pilot has to prove themselves, but it was quite frankly a challenge because I was the only female, the first female. I did earn my street cred with them, and my guys were great, but it wasn't easy, and it wasn't graceful for any of us. It's a macho world, and there was a part of every fighter culture that was not focused on this. She said the mission is more important than your gender. The jet doesn't care whether you're a man or a woman, so why should the squadron mind, she added. The mission, September the 11th, 2001, 19 al-Qaeda terrorists attacked 4 passenger airlines, flying 2 of them into the World Trade Center Twin Towers in New York City, a 3rd one into the Pentagon in D.C. The 4th one, United Airlines Flight 93 that I just mentioned, was also headed towards Washington, D.C. On that day, Penny would be asked to do the unthinkable, not just to take one for the team, but to depart for a mission that she was unlikely to return from. Her mission and her partners: take down United Airlines Flight 93, one of the 4 planes that had been hijacked by the terrorists. The other 3 planes had already crashed into the Twin Towers in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., killing all aboard and thousands of others. The 4th one, it was presumed, was on track to crash into the United States Capitol building or the White House in D.C. While it sounded inconceivable, her plane and her partner's plane had no weapons on board, no guns, no missiles. It was just them and their planes. She and her flight leader, Colonel Sassville, had to take off without AIM missiles on board because there was not time to have them brought over from the arms depot some distance away. She was one of only 2 combat pilots that would be sent on a kamikaze mission where she would have to ram, if not crash, her plane into the airliner. She did not hesitate, although she never made it to Flight 93. Major Heather Penny was on the tarmac, buckled into her F-16. The other pilot, Colonel Mark Sassfield, would go skyward with her in a separate fighter craft. The team had a simple plan. Sassfield would fly his plane into the cockpit of Flight 93. Penny would drive her craft into the tail section of the plane. No one had ever imagined that a civilian airliner would be brought down this way, she said. No other planes were in the sky over the U.S. that day, as all had been immediately grounded. Only one remained in flight, and it was their mission to find it and destroy it before it could reach D.C. And yes, they were about to bring down a civilian passenger jet and its passengers. President George Bush and the cabinet had already determined, based on the fate of the first 3 planes, that the passengers on Flight 93 were going to die either way. There was no way they would live through a crash into D.C. The 2 pilots weren't looking forward to what was to happen, to literally kill everyone on board and to sacrifice their own lives to save the target in the nation's capital. Their mission was simple: stop Flight 93 from arriving in Washington, D.C. Penny and Sassfield never made it to Flight 93, though, since the passengers aboard overtook the 4 hijackers and crashed the plane in that field in Pennsylvania. A team of men, including passenger Todd Beamer, who shouted the infamous phrase, "Let's roll," had stormed the cabin and, while fighting the terrorists to the death, forced the airliner into the ground in the field in Pennsylvania. All 44 people, including the 4 terrorists, died when Flight 93 plummeted into that field that day in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. Penny said, "Sass and I were on a mission failure. We didn't get to 93 in time. The passengers were the ones who knew what needed to be done, and they did it." The heroes that day were just the average Joes. They were the people who cleaned up the debris and knew they were going to get sick from it. The people who ran into the buildings without regard to the risk of their own lives. One haunting detail that she hadn't thought about initially was that her father was a United Airlines captain at the time and traveled to the East Coast regularly. It could just as easily be her own father flying that plane. She said, "However, it was still my duty, my oath, to protect our nation, and this was our mission. Whether my father might have been on the plane never crossed my mind, and even if it had, any selfish considerations could not have changed that mission." Major Penny later served 2 tours in Iraq and now is a senior resident fellow at Mitchell University or Institute for Aerospace Studies. "It's hard as a woman to balance career and family," she said. "In the military especially, women are expected to choose family over their careers. Her focus now is instilling some confidence, passion, and ambition in her daughters that her family instilled in her. The few women that she came to know during her military service reached out to each other, supported each other, and believed in each other. That's one of the reasons why Penny is returning to Nevada to speak to the Nevada Women's Fund. The Nevada Women's Fund provides women's support. I could not have been successful as I was without the support of other women. None of us can do it alone. It's just a little bit of support. It's like a never-ending chain of success, a team effort," she said. Isabel Rodriguez Wilson, president and CEO of the fund, said that Major Heather Penny represents patriotism, true grit, and perseverance, all qualities that the organization wanted to highlight in this year's program. Not only is she a product of our community, but she had hopes and dreams, and she served in the most ultimate way. She was ready to give her life, Rodriguez said. The Nevada Women's Fund Luncheon raises funds to assist women in northern Nevada seeking higher education. In the organization's 35 years, the nonprofit organization has been awarded $3.8 million in scholarships and $3.4 million to nonprofits that help families. Penny wants to be the role model that her daughters need, no matter what profession they go into. Though her own father worried a bit about her going into a male-dominated profession, he was always proud that she did it, and even more proud that she did it for herself and not for him. If at some point my daughters want to be a fighter pilot, if they want to be a vet, if they want to be an engineer, I'll be supportive and happy for them. Our world takes everybody, It's a joint effort. We need everybody to run it. Heather Penny is known to all as Major Heather Lucky Penny. After hearing this story, folks, I hope it touches each one of us to complete our mission. When the certain time comes for us, it's our duty to ourselves and to our families to stay the course, to complete our mission. It's time for us to step up to the plate, to climb into our own cockpit, if you will, to buckle up, to take our place, to do whatever we can in our power to win. And our mission, let's all win together. Let's go make something special happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we love and appreciate each and every one of you.
And now, as Paul Harvey would say, you know the rest of the story. I hope you enjoyed today's story, and I thank you for letting me share with you. I look forward to seeing you all in the winner's circle. God bless. Make it a great day. Goodbye for now.